So in this video we're going to be removing this clock movement because it's no longer working. We're going to be taking the measurements we need to purchase a new one, and they're going to be installing the new one. Obviously, first you remove the battery. And generally the second hand is just pressed on most clocks, so they should come right off. And since these hands are pressed on, we have to remove them. There's different techniques. I like just getting some screwdrivers in there and prying it up. Same thing, this hour hand is also pressed on. And what we have left is a nut and a small washer. So you can just take a kind of pair of pliers. And then the washer. And then we can remove the clock movement from the clock face. Now we're going to take some measurements to make sure we get the correct clock movement for this particular clock. One thing that is probably not common is the way this one is mounted. It has a bracket glued to the face. This is where you hang it from the wall. And then the clock movement, I'm going to put it in backwards, is designed to fit into that. So a measurement I had to take that's not a typical measurement is the dimensions of this bracket. Now, if I cannot find a clock movement that meets all the other measurements, but is too big for this, then I'm going to have to find a way to remove this bracket and install another hook to hang it from. Well, let's start with the common measurements you'll take. One is the thickness of your clock face. Now, if you have some calipers, this is an easy way of doing it. All right, the thickness of this clock face is 0.1685, 0.169 inches. So let's record that. A critical dimension is the length of this threaded shaft. And another measurement we can take is the overall length of the shaft. So let's do that. Make sure that your ruler starts at the edge, and here this is a gap. So if I actually use this ruler to measure it, my measurement's going to be too short because of this. I'm going to use a ruler where 0 starts at the very end. So the measurement for the threaded part is 11/32. I'm going to go write that down. And the reason the most critical measurement is the threaded, because you need enough of the thread to show through to put on the washer and that lock nut. And the measurement for the total length of the shaft is 20/32. I'm going to go write that number down. Now the next measurements we're going to take is the length of the hour hand and the minute hand. And as you know by convention, the hour hand is shorter than the minute hand. Now the distance you want is from the center of the opening that goes onto the shaft to the tip for both of these. If you're getting a clock movement with a second hand, you'd also want to take that measurement for the second hand. Based on that measurement, that's 2 5/8 inches. So I'm going to write that number down. Now let's get the minute hand. All right, that is 3 6/8 inches. And 6/8 inches, of course, is 3/4 inches. So that's 3 3/4 inches. The other thing you have to consider is if the clock is covered by a plastic or glass. And what you need to be sure is that when you buy a replacement movement, you don't want the total length of the shaft to be so long that it's actually going to cause the movement to hit that glass. So that's why some of these measurements are really critical. So now that I've got all my measurements done, I'm going to go online to shop for clock movements. They're not too expensive. Or if you have access to a local store that sells these movements, which I do not, then you can go to a local store. Okay, I've got my new clock movement, my new minute and hour hands, and the hardware packet that comes with a clock. They're not white, they're actually black, but they still have that protective film on. I'll take those off as part of the installation. Now when you decide what movement to acquire, some of the things you can think about is, do you want a US made only clock? If yes, you can buy those, but they don't have as many features with them, so it's going to restrict your options. Do you want the second hand to be continuous sweep, which means it moves constantly, or do you want that stop and go ticking motion? Usually the continuous sweep clock movements are the quiet ones. The ones where the second hand stops and goes, that's the one that will have a ticking noise to it, which could be important if the clock goes into like a bedroom area. Do you need a high torque movement? Generally, if your minute hand from the opening to the end is 8 inches or longer, you'll need a high torque movement. Power, how do you want it powered? This one is AA. They also come in C battery, and they also come in plug-in. Do you want a chime feature? I don't, but they do make movements that do chime. Do you want a pendulum? Do you want an option where you can set daylight savings time, and so twice a year you don't have to adjust the clock movement? So those are the different options that you will see when you buy a new movement. Now one of the things I had to be careful of is the dimensions of the clock. Remember, this clock face has a bracket on the inside that holds the clock movement and where you hang it by. So I needed to make sure that my clock movement fits into that bracket. And we're now going to install it. This we're going to use the hardware pack. This clock also has a small nut on it. I'm going to go ahead and take it off. The way this is going to go in, it's going to get inserted, and I insert it such that the writing is legible and that the clock is not upside down. It could be, but it's just easier to do it this way. I take the rubber washer and install it. Put the clock through. Put on the larger brass washer. Okay, the nut goes on next. Hopefully you're beginning to see why it's critical to get that threaded shaft length correct, because it needs to be long enough to get past that rubber washer, through the clock face, through the washer, the metal washer, and then still have enough for the nut. So you'll hand tighten it. Now, if you didn't have like a bracket like this, you need to hold on to the clock movement, because as you turn the nut, it will take this movement and start turning it too. So I'll just take the pliers and just do like a quarter turn. Okay, it's time to put on the minute and hour hands, but before we do, I wanted to show you why I always get new minute and hour hands whenever I get a clock movement. This is the old hour hand, this is the new one. If you look carefully, you can see that the diameter of the opening of the old one is larger than the new one. It might be easier to see it. Might be easier to see it this way. This is the old hand, that's the new one. But you can see that the diameter is much larger. So the old hand would not fit the new clock. And this is the minute hand. This is the old one, this is the new one. If you look at the old one, it's circular. you look at the new one, it's not. So this is why I always get new minute and hour hands, and even a second hand if I wanted to use a second hand whenever I get a new clock movement. And whenever you're putting on your hands, the hour hand always goes first, then the minute, then the second. However, what we're going to do is temporarily put on the minute hand so we can get the minute hand shaft aligned. And the reason we want to do that is because we want the minute hand pointing at 12 when we put on the hour hand, so we can make sure it's lined up on an hour. We don't want something like this. If you just put the hour hand on first without aligning the minute hand, then as you're using your clock, whenever the minute hand is on 12, your hour hand may not be on the appropriate hour. So we put on the minute hand, and on your hardware pack, we'll try to zoom in on these. You should have a round nut and a cap nut. We're going to temporarily use this to hold the minute hand in place while we align things. If I were using a second hand, we would use this in the final assembly, but since I'm not, we'll be using the cap nut in the final assembly. So for now, we're going to temporarily put on the open nut. So we use the round nut to hold the minute hand in place. We then reach underneath and the wheel that adjusts the time. Turn it until the minute hand is pointing to 12. At this time, we're going to remove the nut and remove the minute hand. So I'm ready to put on the hour hand. What I'm going to do first is just turn it upside down and lay it flat to see if I have any gross bends in it. If I did, I would straighten it out. It is a thin metal, so it's easy to adjust. As you can see, the hand is fairly flat. Now the hour hand is pressed on. When we press it on, we want to make sure it lines up with an hour. It actually does not matter which hour you align it to. It could be any of them. For a lot of people, it might be easier if they do it straight from where they're standing or at a 90-degree angle from where they're standing. So I'm going to use 6 o'clock. Get it lined up as best I can with the 6. Now I want to look at an angle to make sure it's completely pressed on. And I want to show you a close-up of what that looks like. All right, now it's time for the minute hand. When you have that shape, it does not press on, it just drops in place. If I want to use a second hand, I will put this nut on because the second hand comes with a pin that presses on top of that pin right in the center, right inside the minute hand shaft. Since I am not going to use a second hand, I'm going to be securing the minute hand with the cap nut. This is a quick tip. If you have large hands or you have dry skin, it might be hard to handle that little nut. When that happens to me, I just put on these little disposable gloves that gives me nice grip on the nuts to work it. Now what we want to do next is check the clearance. So we're going to hold the clock to the side and just turn it around and make sure the hands do not interfere with each other. And they don't. If they were interfering with each other, the first thing you want to check is make sure you screwed on the cap correctly. If you screwed it on, and you can do this, if you screw the cap on at an angle, it's going to push that minute hand down like this. So when you look at it, make sure everything's, the minute hand and the hour hand are level. Make sure that the cap is straight on. What we want to do next is set the clock to the correct time, which I've done. Now we want to install the battery. If your clock has an on-off switch, at this time you'd want to turn it on. and you'd want to check for operations. Now, if you had a second hand, you'd know if it was working because a second hand would be moving. But we don't, so I'm just going to leave it here and make sure that it's tracking time. Seems to be working fine, so I'm going to go hang it up on the wall. I hope this video has been useful to you, and thank you so much for watching.